What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Coming at y'all with another video. UFC 327 just ended on Saturday, and we're just coming at y'all with a quick video talking about a specific fight in general, and that was going to be the Josh Hokit versus Curtis Blaydes fight. Not really a lot to be said about the fight in general because everyone knows it was a war, probably the fight of the year. Everyone was kind of counting out Josh Hokit in this fight, and he showed everyone he's a real dog. He's a good fighter. I mean, no, actually, let's slow down here. It's heavyweight. For heavyweight, he's a good fighter. But we're going to put heavyweight in their own category. He's a solid fighter for heavyweight. But it was a fight of the year candidate. It was a great fight. Everyone was on their feet. And really, there's not really a lot to be said about the fight in general. It was a great fight. The decision was pretty self-explanatory. 29-28 Josh Hokit. Round 1 was for Curtis Blaydes. Round 2 and 3 were for Josh Hokit. And that round 1 was crazy, by the way. Curtis Blaydes was teeing off on Josh Hokit. Josh Hokit was landing massive right hands coming in. He was just swinging for the fences trying to KO Curtis Blaydes. And it was just crazy. But we're not only talking about the fight. We're not only talking about the fight. It was a crazy fight, but we're not going to talk about that today. That could be in its own video how crazy that fight was and how exciting it was. Especially for heavyweight because everyone just kind of shits on heavyweight. It is a pretty dog shit division to be quite fair. But I'll take a heavyweight slot fest 3-round war. Because most fights in heavyweight are a 3-round slot fest that are boring. They're just laying on each other and fucking slopping it up and shit striking, shit grappling, just shit in general. But this was an exciting fight for once. And obviously no one's complaining about this fight. What I'm really talking about today is the fight that was made literally 30 minutes after the fight. As you know, Derrick Lewis and Josh Hokit are fighting at Freedom 250. Dana White making fights the night of the fight. You know his slogan? We don't make fights the night of the fight. Every fucking goddamn press conference, or post-game, or post-fight press conference that he does, some reporter will ask him a hard question. What's next for this fighter? Can we see this fight after? A fight that makes sense? And he's like, nah, man. We don't do fight. I don't make fights the night after the fight or the day of the fight. But for Josh Hokit versus Derrick Lewis, we'll have an exception. And you know why? Because Donald Trump, after the fight, was he came up to Dana White and was like, why isn't Josh Hokit on the Freedom 250 card? And Donald Trump, Dana White sucks off Donald Trump. You know how that works. That's his best friend, apparently. They're BFFs. He's having a whole card for him. Literally just a glaze fest of fucking Donald Trump. And Dana White was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Josh Hokit versus Derrick Lewis makes perfect sense. Let's put him on the UFC 250 Freedom card. Does the fight make sense? Absolutely the fuck not. It makes absolutely no sense. Derrick Lewis is 40 years old. He's old and fat, washed up. He has a lot of power, so it's heavyweight. And that's the thing. This fight is literally probably a 50-50 fight because Josh Hokit's probably not going to wrestle him. If Josh Hokit wants to win this fight, he'd wrestle Derrick Lewis and beat the shit out of him, but I don't think he's going to do it. I think he's going to stand and bang with him and try to KO him. And that's a 50-50 fight because Josh Hokit's not that good. It's heavyweight, though, so he's pretty good. But, he's in his own category, pretty good for heavyweight. But heavyweight, anybody can beat anybody. So, basically, Josh Hokit should be getting a number 1 contenders fight to fight for the title fight. But instead, he's going to fight on the White House card against a shitty opponent in Derrick Lewis. And basically just risk his ranking. Because the UFC doesn't give a single fuck about the rankings or who's gonna be the next champion, or the integrity of the UFC rankings or matchmaking. The matchmaking doesn't make any sense. They don't give a fuck. They're thinking about fast cash. Dana White's thinking of cash right now. He ain't thinking about fucking the UFC and making good fights. He's thinking about making exciting fights that make no sense, appealing to casual fans, because a casual fan's gonna see this fight and be like, Josh Hokit just had a crazy fight on UFC 327. Derrick Lewis is a funny, kind of likable guy. He's been in the UFC for a very long time. That fight should be a banger. I mean, it probably is going to be an exciting fight, but the fight, as this is not what the UFC is supposed to be, according to Dana White. We make the best fights. That's a slogan. We make the best fight. We make the best fight the best. And it makes no fucking sense about this fight. It really doesn't. Because at this point, if we're going to do this, and I feel like a lot of people don't really give a fuck, no one's complaining, no one's talking shit about the fight because it's heavyweight. Everyone kind of thinks Josh Hokit's some type of joke. I mean, his persona that he puts on, this whole weird shit that he does, he starts rapping and shit. So everyone thinks he's a joke and no one really takes him serious. So I don't really think anybody's complaining. But if the UFC just did this and no one's complaining, right? They're going to do this to an actual meaningful fighter. Like, let's say Conor McGregor fights Michael Chandler. For say, I don't think it's gonna happen, but let's just say that happens, and Michael Chandler loses, right? Conor McGregor KOs him. They're gonna be like, oh, okay, Conor McGregor, get him a title shot, and I would bet my life on it that they would do that, because they don't give a fuck about the rankings. They don't give a fuck about title shots. They give a fuck about what makes money. And a Conor McGregor title shot is gonna generate a lot of money for the UFC. And just like how this Josh Hokit fight is going to generate a lot of money, people are going to see that fight on the card. Makes 0 sense to the rankings, 0 sense to the integrity of the UFC, but they're going to make it because it makes money. And no one's complaining because it's an exciting fight. And that's just the way it goes. And Dana White's going to suck off Donald Trump to the day he dies. So if Donald Trump wants it, he's going to fucking do it. That's it's his daddy. So yeah, let me know what y'all think. It's a quick little video just explaining to y'all what's really happening with that shit. And I hope y'all can open y'all's eyes to that shit, because it's fucking stupid. It makes no sense. I mean, obviously I'm gonna watch it, but y'all let me know what y'all think. Subscribe if y'all want to see more of this content.